Alright guys, so Gravekeeper deck profile again. I haven't actually uploaded a pure Gravekeeper deck profile in 2 months. If for some reason you don't count my make acid as much as you can Gravekeeper deck as pure Gravekeepers, then 7 months. So, I don't know why you wouldn't count that, but hey, I'm just saying. First thing, the way this is, where I have it on DevPro as well as real cards, I don't know which one you guys prefer. And I actually prefer it this way, where there are both, just because you can see the whole thing, you can see what's there if you just want it real quick, or if you want my explanation, you can watch this, rather than doing 2 separate videos or just one, but having to choose between the best of both worlds. Alright, so first up, my choice to put Visionary back in. I took out Fair Lily and put Visionary back in for, well, several reasons, but mostly because of Blazing Mirror Force. I really can't have a 3400 Fair Lily getting hit with a Blazing Mirror Force, having paid the 2000 for her effect, and then taking 3400 more off of that, and then potentially even more if I have more monsters on the board, potentially gaming me. I really can't deal with that. And Visionary you can summon multiple times, whereas Fair Lily you can't do that. Visionary you can search off of Disciple during your opponent's battle phase and then protect with the cards in your hand. If he's face up, you can protect him from the effect of Dragon Pulse Magician in your opponent's Pendulum Scale. So, and he just gets stronger when you do that. If he's in your hand, you can tribute Recruiter for him, get a card to protect him with off of Recruiter's effect, and you know, Recruiter happens, so he gets 200 more. And if you don't have a Necro Valley, you get Necro Valley, you have free Necro Valley off of that, plus a possibly 4700 monster on your board that can protect himself. I'm just saying, if you're really patient, Visionary can be really strong, and you can also summon him from the graveyard, since I do play Rite of Spirit, which, if for people who have recently joined my channel, or don't know it, yes, I play Rite of Spirit, and not Stella. I have my reasons, and I'll get to it. Probably not in this deck profile, though, but if anyone needs to know, I will be glad to make that. Next up, I got the 2 Doom Cows. I've put in 2 Doom Cow. Again, if you are not a patient player like I am, these Doom Cows should be Max C's, this Visionary should be Fair Lily. Yeah. Or Ting Goldfish, so you can go into Acid and break scales. Whatever. But for me, the Doom Cows. For some reason, when I open with Doom Cow, I also end up opening with a Veiler, which is really, really good. Especially if you're playing against Cosmo. If you're playing against Cosmo, which is the main reason Doom Cow went in, and yes, Cosmo are still very good. They didn't become less good at any point in time, so I don't know where that misconception came from. But, you know, whatever. Doom Cow's in 1900. Cosmos don't have anything they can just summon and beat over Doom Cow with. They have to summon, use an effect, which will then be negated by Doom Cow in order to get over Doom Cow. And if you have Veiler as well, then even if they have extended plays after that, which Cosmo usually don't, if you can just stop that first monster with the Doom Cow, then they usually just can't do much. This is one of the few cards that actually will just completely stop Cosmo altogether. But Doom Cow is also really good against other things as well. If your opponent goes and tries to go for a Crobat Magician, he will negate that, or any other Stratos kind of thing. Doom Cow will negate that and stop your opponent right there. He's 1900, so you can just summon him, attack over things like Crobat Magician, and then not really have to worry about it too much. If your opponent tries to go for an Exceed without getting rid of Doom Cow first, then he will blow it up when it tries to use its effect. So it does force your opponent to go into the battle phase before they go for any kind of Exceed plays, any effects, which means they, unless they have Space Typhoons, they have to leave your back row intact when they go into their battle phase. And that's a really scary thing to do. So forcing people to do that is really nice. Doomcal does feel really shaky though because he kills himself, but I just gave several reasons why Doomcal's good. And for some reason I repetitively open him with a Veiler also in hand, which is just great. Final non-Gravekeeper in here is, of course, Thunder King. So there you go. Onto the monsters. It's pretty standard for me anyway. Not for most people, but it's my standard. Aside from the 2 Disciple, as you can see there, for those who are new to this being my channel, I don't call the card Nobleman, I call it Disciple or Apostle. I don't know. TCG translations just bother me most of the time. Not some of them are great, but I'll make a video about that at some point. 1 Descendant. Most people play 2, but I'm really patient, so 1 Descendant does it for me. If the Descendant gets banished, like whatever, pretty much Descendants here if your levels aren't even, so you can't exceed. If you can exceed, do that. Now, Descendant also, a lot of people forget, does not say once per turn, so you can tribute multiple monsters for Descendant. And if you've got Necro Valley and your opponent and you're just blowing things up and you're not really worried about things being pendulums going to the extra deck, hey, whatever, man. Just tribute the other monsters for Descendant's effect, blow things up. As I said earlier, I do play Rite of Spirit, so if you tribute the other 2, probably being a Spy and a Recruiter, then you can Rite of Spirit, the Spy, and go for an Exceed play anyway, if that's where you want to use the Rite of Spirit, which I do a lot of the time. So, there you go. But yeah, he's pretty much there for that basic play, and if your levels aren't even. Yeah, so, there you go. That's why I only play 1. Assailant's really, really great, especially with the pendulums now. If you can summon an Assailant, she can pretty much get over just about anything. Most things have either attack or defense as their high stat, and with Necro Valley, the only way Assailant can actually use her effect. Assailant is a 2000, so she can pretty much get over just about anything that is a pendulum monster. Therefore, putting them back in the extra deck, and then you can overlay into Castile, detach both of these, and pop, or not pop, but spin back one of the scales. Scale's broken. Your opponent might not be able to pendulum summon again. If you have a Space Typhoon, that just gets even better. So, and you know, if you had gone flip Spy, summon Descendant, tribute Spy, summon Assailant by normal summon attack, then you would pop both scales, and your opponent's probably not coming back from it. Especially considering that's half of a win condition complete right there. Or not half, but 1/4 anyway. Possibly half if you're changing the thing to attack mode. 1 guard. Yeah, I'm still playing guard. Guard breaks up extra deck things. Anything from the extra deck, guard flips up, puts it back, and you just don't care. Unless it can't be targeted, of course. But most exceeds can be targeted. A lot of synchros can. So, and of course fusions. If somebody goes mass change, you can use guard to very easily get rid of Dark Allows. So he's pretty much there for dealing with the extra deck. 2 Recruiter. A lot of people play 3 Recruiter. I feel like that gets cloggy and is just slow overall. So 2 Recruiter, and I know I said I'm patient, but I'm patient enough to play 2. But yeah, Recruiter just gets cloggy. So I'm going to go ahead and explain these choices, even though people who know me or have seen my channel before can probably just look at the deck and know what I'm thinking. The 2 Commandant, as always, I don't like playing 3. If you're playing Master Diane in your extra deck, then sure, go ahead and play 3 Commandant. Otherwise, no. I've gone back to 2 of her, back to 2 Disciple, just the ability to play the game so patiently is really, really valuable, especially against decks like anything Pendulum deck, anything Pendulum based, as well as Cosmo, because they can just keep throwing things out to hit you with. And with Disciple, you can just keep throwing out defenders. She's also a nice way into Guard or Visionary, depending on your present situation. And of course 3 Spy, because always. Never not play 3 Spy. Trap cards. Emptiness, Warning, Bottomless, Evac, the 1 Mirror Force. I would kind of like to have this be a Blazing Mirror Force or Wind Mirror Force, but regular Mirror Force is great too, especially considering, you know, I have Necro Valley. I have Necro Valley, and this deck is really good at breaking scales. Imperial Tombs and Necro Valley, only 1. I feel like this card's really reckless, but I still like it. Ring of Destruction, the 2 Rite of Spirits that I play. As I said, another video if this needs explanation. It's called a Haunted that doesn't attach to the monster and works under Necro Valley. I don't see why people think this card's bad. Anyway, MVP of the entire deck, just MVP card of the entire deck overall, Double Needle Sealing. This card's so good. I keep saying this card is so good, and I keep putting up videos that prove how good this card is. Of course, for Needle Sealing to work, again, you do have to play very patiently. And that can be very frustrating for most people, that's why I keep bringing it up. If you don't play patiently, then this is not going to work. 3 chains, I had to go back up to 3. Just being able to yell 2 chains was not worth it. Oh, and of course with the 3rd chain being a chain instead of a breakthrough skill, I'm not really worried about artifacts or hands or anything like that, so Fiend's Chain is just better. Book of Moon, Royal Tribute. Royal Tribute is just really powerful against Pendulum decks if you open with it. If you don't open with Royal Tribute though, it's pretty much dead. You're not going to play it. And if you open with Royal Tribute and a hand with monsters in it, it's dead anyway. So it's dead a lot of the time, but it's still in, just because if you open with it against a Pendulum deck and you drop it and they drop their hand, they just lose. Same deal with Cosmo. You drop it and they don't have a Cosmo Town, they just lose. You drop it and they have a Cosmo Town, you can drop a Dark Law on them, they just lose. You drop it, they have Cosmo Town, but you've gone and summoned a Doom Caliber, they just lose. So a lot of the time, if you open with Royal Tribute against the meta decks, you just win. 2 Space Typhoon, 2 Mass Change Second. We're going into Dark Lung Koga. 2 Spell Shattering Arrow. It seems really crazy. I know. And I've actually been asked about this. Why do I play 2 Spell Shattering Arrow when you're going to run up against things that aren't Pendulum? The thing is, if it's not Pendulum, then it's at my speed, or Cosmo. If it's Cosmo, I'm a side deck for them. If it's pretty much anything else, I don't care. I can afford to draw a dead card against pretty much anything else, so whatever. It breaks field spells as well as the Pendulum Scales, and as far as people saying that this seems crazy, yeah, well, people are playing Wavering Eyes, and yes, Wavering Eyes gives you pluses, but that is also pretty reliant on that your opponent's playing Pendulums against you. So, I'm just saying. And of course the 3 Necro Valley, and that's it for the main deck. I'm going to go over the extra deck next. It's again, as you can see, they're very basic, but there are some things that I do want to say. First up, Dark Law, of course. Gotta play the Dark Law. Next up, Koga. I uploaded a video forever ago called What Can Koga Do For You that explains why I play Koga. So, don't have to do that ever. Armory Arm's gone back in. I just keep wanting to make Armory Arm, and I didn't have it in there. And I'm like, but I want to make Armory Arm. Armory Arm Assailant is scary. When you make Armory Arm, you're doing so with Recruiter, so you do get a Recruiter search for making Armory Arm. So you can make Armory Arm, attach Armory Arm to Assailant, use that Recruiter to get Commandant to get Necro Valley, so that Assailant can use her effect and be even bigger. Alright, I was interrupted, so where was I? Okay, Armory Arm. So yeah, you can do that. And of course, Armory Arm Dark Law is just awesome. You get the damage from Armory Arm's effect, and wait, does Armory Arm have to go to the graveyard? I don't even know. I haven't even like read this card ever. And sends it to the graveyard. Wow, yeah, you don't get Armory Arm's effect. It's still scary though because of the having a 3400 Dark Law. It's still really, really good. And of course, as I said, you get the Recruiter search. Armades, Black Rose, we don't have Exton Knight, and Black Rose isn't exactly difficult to make. I mean, and when you make Black Rose, you're doing so with Recruiter, so there you go. Stardust Dragon and Dark End Dragon. Also very easy to make. The Stardust is in here for, as you can see up here, the Starlight Roads in the side deck. Yeah, only one Stardust. I'm probably only going to resolve one, even if those are being sided in. The Dark End Dragon. I'll make an entire video about this later on, but it can send things to the graveyard. And not specifically about Dark End, about advantage and the way it works with Dark End, because it does take 3 cards to make and then gets rid of 1, but you get 1 search off of it, and you know, there you go. I'll make an entire video about advantage and neutral advantage. So, because it's important, and it's a thing a lot of people don't think about, I think. So, that was a sentence. Okay, whatever. Acid Golem. I chose Acid Golem to be my rank 3 for this build because of skill drain. People playing skill drain. I can just go into Acid Golem and be like, whatever. I got a 3000 beat stick, so good luck with that. Abyss Dweller, I never make this. I might actually just take it out. I mean, yeah, the effect is good. It covers all the bases, and Necro Valley doesn't, but I could be playing something else. I don't know. I like never make Abyss Dweller. It's really good, but I never make it. Heartland Draco, obviously, just don't hurt me. My Stroke, don't hurt me. Double Castile, Breaking Scales. Now, the last 2 cards, don't flip out on me when I show you these. 101 and Trapeze Magician, I don't have them yet, so I just have these here as placeholders, while actually I have Ally of Justice Catastor and number 80 Rhapsody in Berserk to actually play, whereas I just have these placeholders on me just to be like, okay, I would make that card here, great. Of course, if my opponent says it's okay, then like whatever, but most people don't like that, and frankly I don't either, just saying. So yeah, I do have Catastor and Rhapsody in Berserk. Rhapsody I've talked about way forever ago, like a year ago. But this card, even though I do play Necro Valley, isn't bad. I control Necro Valley. I control when it's active, so I can still use Rhapsody, as well as attaching the Rhapsody in Berserk to a Heartland Draco is just ridiculous. So, there you go. Now, as for the side deck, because I'm going to go ahead and do that. I don't care how long this video is. Malefic Stardust Dragon, or as it is on here, Gravekeeper Shaman, which I would much prefer it to be because with Stardust you can't attack, and Shaman's just a lot better to go into sometimes than Visionary is during your opponent's battle phase. Shaman locks down your opponent and can protect your stuff more. So there you go. Heretic, I'm not entirely sure how I feel about Heretic, but that's just because I haven't run into a game where he actually gets cited in. But yeah, he's there for people who play smaller monsters that just are trying to blow up my stuff or do whatever to my field. Other back row heavy decks, that's what he goes in for, so that he can just go in, get attacks. The problem is that he's 1800, so he is 200 short of the win condition, but ideally, I mean, it's not even going to matter, so whatever. Especially because I play Visionary, and because you're probably going to get in damage with opponents attacking into set spies. That does usually happen, so it doesn't really matter, but yeah. The third space, as well as the third spell shattering arrow, because I am absolutely rude to pendulum players. Next up, we got 2 Darkfall. 2 Darkfall. Again, this is for pendulums. If your opponent summons more than 2 or more monsters at the same time, then you send those monsters that they summoned to the graveyard, as well as all the copies of those monsters in your opponent's hand and deck will also be sent to the graveyard. And that is sent, not destroyed, so they won't go back to the extra deck if they're pendulums. Next up, we got 2 Starlight Road. Starlight Road instead of Huge Rev, just because I want to win. I don't want to just not die, I want to win. And Banishing Twin Twister isn't all that good. Banishing Regeki doesn't really help. So I would just much rather have a Starlight Road. Double Masker Restrict because I absolutely hate Monarchs. Triple Iron Wall because I don't like playing against Cosmo at all. And Double Gozen Match because people don't actually realize how just the attributes of the monsters in a lot of the decks nowadays, especially Pendulum, Performance Pal based Pendulum decks, you have a lot of attributes going on. So Gozen Match just comes in and says no, let's not do that. I haven't actually looked at the types and attributes, but I know that the attributes they have a lot of different ones. Although I think with Gozen Match they're pretty much just going to pick Earth, but it does lock them out of a lot of their card pool. And a lot of people don't pay attention to what attributes their monsters are, unless they are playing Mass Change Second. So by activating Gozen Match, you lock them out of a part of their card pool, but also that they probably don't know what attribute it is they actually have the most of. Just saying, most people don't pay attention to things like that. Whereas if you're playing for type, then they probably do know that. But attribute, a lot of people don't even pay attention to it, and you can catch people off guard with it, so it's great. Anyway, that's it for this. I would ask what you guys think, but I don't know. Like, what do you even say about this? It's pure Gravekeeper just with Doom Cows. I guess, what do you think about the Doom Cows? It's not that different from things I've done in the past, but aside from really Doom Cow, But, whatever.